what a pleasure. Boadiba, in the southern, they call it Haiti, in the southern United States, where I spent my first 10 years in Mississippi. Voodoo, hoodoo. Muddy Waters has a song that's world famous, I'm sure you know it. Got my mojo working, but it just won't work on you. I'm going down to Louisiana, gonna get me a mojo hand, kind of thing. So this poem is called When Mojo Just Won't Work. The history told us was always false, so is theirs, and so is yours and mine. A boogaloo, a tango, or a waltz, 3 lovely ways of moving out of time. We're just too cool to count off when to start, or when to bluff, to fold. So now, what else? We subdivide, we work each step, we fart on cue. When mojo doesn't work, power spells it out. It's high time ethnic studies stopped. The action termed affirmative falls next. Imagine that a country never copped to its history, real or blessed or hexed, and right away you come to understand how someone getting killed or captured feels. With thugs, how do you hide or show your hand? And does it matter much that nothing heals? The USA of early times still thrives on camouflage and ownership and cash. Sometimes good people, good works survive. No one asks, time bumps. So is it rash to ask, does hope still stand a chance? Why yes, of course, in gigabytes that dance. I'll read one more. Bring Boadiba back up. I had a wonderful experience all last year of working with the California Report, which originates in the studios of KQED FM here in San Francisco. I approached them in November of the previous year, 2011, and said I'd like to do a poem once a month for the California Report that will be California thematic. And they thought about it for a long time, and they called me at the end of January of 2012 and said, we want you to do it. So we did it, and a lot of interesting poems came out of that. You're going to hear 2 or 3 of them. This is one of them. I'm always making a case for poetry being bigger than individuals, or than the individual ego. I've been preaching for years that the I does not exist, and it's hard to get across to my millennials that I teach at California College of the Arts here in San Francisco, because most of these kids, they don't know a moment when they weren't plugged in or wired, or staring at a screen or tapping at a keyboard. I designed a course semester before last called Art, Science, and Silence. They took their writing cues from those areas. So they said, Al, we understand the art, we understand the science. What's this silence shit? I said, well, you guys have never been silent. I said, I want you to unplug for 30 minutes to an hour a day, an hour if you can manage it. Don't photograph anything, don't go online, don't text anybody or anything. And at the end of the semester, you have to write about it. And it was the hardest thing for most of them to write. So that's what we're up against now. That's why we have drone aircraft, and that's why we have all of this disembodied discommunication. So, traditionally, poetry was about everything. This poem is presumed to come from the voice of a June bug. It's called We June Bugs Jazz June 2, and it takes its cue, as many of you have probably glimpsed, from Gwendolyn Brooks, one of my favorites. Wonderful poem, which has come to be called We Real Cool. It wasn't called that originally. Yeah, we real cool, we skip school. And it ends with the lines, we jazz June, we die soon. We June bugs jazz June 2. They tell me Mexico was still in charge of San Francisco Bay when Francis Drake reached shore in 1579. At large, he'd sailed enough around the world to make his oceanic claim. New Albion, as he renames the turf where he anchors his ship, the Golden Hind, would from nigh on be England's. Crown the seamen, crown the bankers. June 17th, the date of Drake's land grab, melts to Sonoma, June 1846. One grisly mob displays its own bear flag. One star declares how they were going to fix the Mexican dilemma way back then, before they knew a thing about June bugs, before I hatched, before why mixed with when in history and trivia. No hugs, no love lost. Pomo, York, Shasta, Modoc, Miwok, Wakpo, Wintun, Maidu, tribes and diatribes the earth remembers. So what? Tree-fed, a 10-line June beetle survives big time on Junes like these. I know I do. June lake, June gloom, we June bugs jazz June too. And there's a little footnote. It says, enthroned in Mexico by 1579, Spain was ruling California then. But how many June bugs know this?
There must be water there. 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 Titu, 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 titu. Little hole, 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 little hole. Air hole, water hole, fire hole, hole. Air hole, water hole, fire hole, hole. Shaft in the heart of stone, miner's hole. Skylight blown through the roof of submarine caves where the parrot's flight is observed and its landing on the branch. Titu, 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 little hole, titu, 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 air hole, water hole, fire hole, hole, water hole, fire hole, changing eyes of the fields, winking among grasses, stream falling into a ring of silence. Tender gaze of the sky nestled on land where goat and wildcat come to drink. Titu, 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 water hole, air hole, fire hole, hole, breath from earth's center, red fissures marking a volcano's path, pool of flame disgorging an improbable creature, half fetus, half salamander, with eyes more human than ours. Titu, 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 titu. Fire hole, air hole, water hole, hole breached through cemetery soil, whose propelling tides return us to the blood-lined walls. We blindly nose our way out in our progress towards first light. Titu, 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 little hole, little hole, little hole, little hole, little hole. We saw signs everywhere. Portents an entire city would remember. Marinette atop the electric pole, dancing as she had danced on the walls of the citadel during that siege long ago. We saw the word end gouged by water roads across an eroded hillside. The end of what? We asked. The end of what? Some thought of the regime, but it was the end for the mountains themselves, the end for the trees, the end for the rivers, entire regions without water, the end of the falls, of the springs trapped in cement straitjackets, siphoned off to the paying friends of power. The end of the little streams my mother had known running down the backs of Port-au-Prince neighborhoods. Marinette climbs all the way to the top of the electric pylon, and balanced there, she dances. She dances as she had danced when cannonballs danced with her. She dances as she had danced when she caused the enemy line to stop firing. She dances as she had danced naked on the ramparts of the citadel during that long ago siege when she mesmerized the French soldiers. Bemused as they were, medusa'd, we watched her take her 3 steps and then twirl, vacationing high on the electric pylon above a shallow hell. Ah, 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 ah.